Hey loves, and welcome back to the podcast. 2 episodes in 1 week. Say what? What indeed. So this episode is a little bit different. I was invited on to do an Instagram live with the lovely Shannon from Mockingbird Makes, and she's been running a creativity and wellness series. And she invited me on to speak about just that. And our conversation was so rich and so open-hearted that I was like, I want to share it wider. So when Shannon said that she would be sharing the episode with me, she shared it to her IGTV, but she'd also be sharing a copy with me. I was like, right, I know exactly where I want this to go. So we were able to strip out the audio and put it on the podcast. And it's a delightful conversation where we aren't afraid to go there. And it is so needed at this time. So I thought, let's just bring it to the podcast. I have to warn you, halfway through, my internet died. So I was chucked off of Instagram and had to log back in. So there's kind of a little bit of an intermission, if you like. But it is so worth a listen. I also talk about Root and Rise and why it is so important. We talk about finding your voice and amplifying your voice. We talk about creativity and consumption. We talk about healing. We talk about what it means to be a big-hearted creative. We talk about so much. So get comfy, get a cuppa, or if you're in the car, get comfy. If you're working out, wherever you are when you listen to this podcast, just get ready and get ready to open your hearts, because it's a real special one. And both Shannon and I would love to know what you think. So head over to Instagram and let us know. I've tagged Shannon in the show notes. And yeah, I hope you're all having a wonderful week.
Today, we have the wonderful joy of speaking to Nicola Ray Wickham. I'll tell you a bit more about her. And she's just joined. So welcome, Nicola. Let me bring you in. Let me see. Maybe, Nicola, if you could request to join in. There we go. Welcome. Here she is, award-winning Nicola Ray Wickham of A Life More Inspired. Oh my gosh, what a great day to have you on.
Oh, thank you, my love. It's lovely to be here.
Have you settled into being an award-winning best mentor coach yet?
I think so.
Congratulations.
Thank you, love. Thank you.
I was just saying that we are on episode 11 of Creativity for Wellness, the Insta Lives that I've been doing the last couple of months that have been really bringing me lots of joy, lots of wonderful feedback from people who are following and joining in as well. And it's so lovely to have you here today. Thank you for making the time. I appreciate it.
Always make the time for you. Always. I even put lip gloss on. I was like, I better go and check. I don't have any on my teeth.
I did the same. I was like, okay, yeah, we're getting ready for this one.
It's opportunity, right?
I get that. Yeah, absolutely. This is my going out. This is out.
This is out. This is as out as we get. So
I know. Congratulations, Nicola, says Gabriella. We're all really excited. If nobody knows what we're talking about, let me introduce you, Nicola. Nicola is a wonderful mentor and coach and is the founder of A Life More Inspired. I mean, the name itself just does it, right? Where she combines her 20-year corporate marketing experience with coaching in order to mentor big-hearted creatives and purpose-driven humans to find, use, and amplify their voice to build brands based on truth-telling and soul-connecting and do the work that makes a meaningful contribution to the world. I mean, is that all? Yeah, like just that. Honestly, all of those words, all of that is so beautiful. And Nicola, you're committed to bringing nuance to the personal development, spiritual and wellness spaces so that it's development for the many and not for the few. This also resounds very, very deeply for me as I learn more about this, as I come across it more, as I understand where doors are closed and they're not open, and as I understand that we as individuals are all incredibly gifted and should be all made to feel welcome in all sorts of places, and that we have everything that we need within us to do what we need to do, and not to be fed the story that we don't, and that we need to do this and we need to continue to be a self-improvement project. So that's sitting really close to my heart at the moment. How can we accept who we are and what we are? Anyway, that is my connection there. But also, as we said, you are award-winning. What did you win an award for?
I won an award for, it was the Creative Impact Co-Award for Best Mentor Coach. So, yeah.
Congratulations. It's really exciting. And it must feel nice to, we don't get peer reviews, do we? We don't get...
Yeah, I know, right?
We don't get those things when we're indies working on our own and that sort of stuff. So we have to know who our support network is and take the feedback that we get wholeheartedly, yes, exactly. Right?
Yeah, I'm still, as you can tell, I'm kind of squirming a little bit. So I'm still
that's why I keep pushing the button. I'm keeping on pushing. Let's just push that a little bit more. All right, I'll stop. Why do you want to work with big-hearted creatives? Why do you want them to amplify their voice? Why is it for you?
Yes. So when I say big-hearted creatives, the kind of deeper level or explanation of who they are deep thinkers and feelers. Mm-hmm. So it's the people who may and often track very high up on the empath scale. Yeah. So I no longer call them empaths and claim that title, because I think that the label can sometimes do us a disservice rather than a service. So that's something that I've come to fairly recently. But the title or the knowledge that we are deep feelers and thinkers works. That works, because it's not this label that we have to hold and then be beholden to being these emotional sponges. But nevertheless, we are deep feelers and thinkers. And so that's what I call kind of the big-hearted. And the reason why I focus on those kind of people is because that's what I am. And you kind of know what you are best, right?
Yes, yes.
And also that I know of these people is that we've often been the quieter people. Not everyone. It's not means that we're necessarily introverts, but we haven't always been the loudest in the room. And we've been used to putting other people's comfort over our own. And we're very good at reading a room. Very good at reading a room and then acting accordingly and moulding and editing and changing ourselves accordingly. And I believe that within that almost silenced voice, there's so much power, there's so much potential, there's so much that we could be doing in the world if we're able to find a way that works for us. And so that's why my kind of heart lies with the big-hearted creatives, because we're the ones that will overthink our way out of an idea so that it never gets to the people that will get the enjoyment from it or the people that need it. We're the ones that are tied to perfection sometimes. So all of these kind of nuanced aspects to us, that's what I want to speak to. And I'm all about making that change in the world, like having that purpose. I get excited by other people's dreams. And so getting that out to the world, that's kind of my thing. So that's why I'm focusing on these big-hearted creators.
It feels really good. I can, someone who's really good at reading the room is really good at adapting, really, really good at adapting. And then maybe not knowing what their idea was, or if it was somebody else's that they are doing for them. And so really getting to the truth of our own story and helping ourselves get back to that is really, really... Gabriella said she's describing you to a T.
Am I? Ooh. And also what I'm proposing is not a one-size-fits-all. So I'm not sitting here saying that if you're a big-hearted creative and this is the way that you are, here you go, like here's a formula for you. It isn't that way at all. It's about you being able to find what works for you. And so I could have like 10 big-hearted creatives in front of me. A different soulful strategy will work for each individual, but just giving yourself the space and the permission and the conditions within which to find what works for you is one of the biggest steps. We can walk around the internet and be that emotional sponge.
Yes.
Like we're picking up on everybody's feelings and their ways of doing and being. Yeah. And just like you said, there's this line where it's like, well, is this me? Or is this what I've been told? And there's a lot of certainty that flies around the internet as well. And sometimes as big-hearted creatives, we don't come with so much certainty in that traditional way. And so it's kind of us being able to find that certainty for ourselves and then be able to do the purpose that we came here to fulfill. So
Thimble and Doll says that was an accidental. Sorry, I think there was lots of laughing going on. Nervous laughter of you're describing me too. Yeah. It was all encouragement and agreement. It's something I can relate to very, very strongly. I often don't know the difference between my energy and another person's energy. And it's the way that I've run my business, not because... And for the first part of running my business like that, in a very shameful way, in a very hidden and shameful way, because that's not how people do it. So I just hid away. I think that underneath it all, I've got a very, very determined and strong part of me that was just going to do it that way, but I just didn't feel confident to tell anybody I was doing it that way. And then as I've seen the results and I've had the experience, and there's a lot more experience to come, and lots more experience to come, but enough experience to go, oh, okay, this was my quiet way of doing it. This was my, yes, at times keeping small, but I also needed to keep safe, so that was actually quite appropriate. There are times when playing small was okay. And when we hear, oh, don't play small, play big, then we think that's the only way we've got to be. No, there's times that these things are appropriate. And we might call it playing small, but actually it's playing within the realms of our reality, within the realms of our world, within the realms of what is real for us, because the little bits that I might be doing from my work are not necessarily seen. The emotional work that I'm doing for my children, supporting my household, my community, and all the rest of what I'm doing, and my mental health and wellness as well. If you're not starting at neutral there's a lot of work just to get to where so that's why I love the work that you do, because it isn't a one size fits all, and it really is about coming in and listening to ourselves. Hey, Leona, you know very much about this. Leona in Indie Roller teaches and has had a wonderful year of supporting small indie businesses to do things their own way and loading them up with all of her knowledge as well. Great to have you here.
That's just a really important point, Shannon, about this whole notion of playing big and small. It's like, who decides what the gradient of big and small is, right? Like, it's a very arbitrary measure that we have been given and then adopted, and we've all adopted it into our language and psyche, but what might be perceived as being small by somebody else's standards, like the industry standards or whatever has been come from above. It feels like it's come from above.
The others, what they say, just they, right?
Yeah, but actually that has been massive for me, right? So I think it's that us being able to take ownership and control of our little area and operate within that. And I think that's a big thing of knowing what is big and small for us.
Yes, yeah.
It's so important.
And staying in our lane and knowing what it is and not comparing our middle with someone else's beginning. They may sound trite, but they're incredibly powerful and true. I saw Lizzie Chandler, a wonderful card maker, standing with a pile of postage stuff, and it like nearly covered up her head. And she went, "This is the most amount of cards I've ever posted out at once." And then underneath she went, "And that might not seem like a lot to you, big business, blah, 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 blah." And it's like, no, this is your win. You know, like Maxine would say in Small Business, Big Moments, like, this is your milestone. This is yours. And why... And as as Lizzie was saying, this is my milestone. This is where I am. This is big for me, and I'm not going to not celebrate it because other people I think or I perceive as doing more than this. And I think that was really, Lizzie, thank you very much for that, because I think it was a really beautiful demonstration of that. The Thoughtful Potter. It's about doing what's right for you. I've run a big business before and suffered burnout. Now I'm running my pottery and staying small and feeling beautiful.
And
I'm
feeling
sure,
good, yeah.
you know?
And I talk a lot about power as well, and us feeling powerful. And what that also means is us looking at the power dynamics, like the traditional power dynamics that exist. And we need to redefine and reclaim those. And this conversation about playing big and playing small is exactly that, because when we play into the bigger traditional power dynamics, that looks like playing big and small.
Yeah.
Whereas when we redefine it for ourselves, we have taken our power back.
That's right.
And I'm all about us. Ultimately, I just want to dismantle the structures and systems. That's all. The quiet revolutionary in me. And this is my way of chipping away at it by saying, you know what, we want to play with the power. Like, I want to be more powerful, but I want to do it in a way that feels good to me. And it starts with us claiming it, because by us subscribing to what they have told us, we're giving away our power. So the lady that you just spoke about, by her being able to say, oh, but it's not big on other people's standards. It's like, no, let's own that. You're doing amazingly well. So, yeah.
It's beautiful. And it is empowering. It is. You know, we are feeling that power. I can feel it right now inside of me. My chest sort of expanding, and it's like, oh, I am doing a good job. And that's powerful to feel that.
It is. And that's going back to why I work with big-hearted creatives, is because so many of us haven't had that.
Yes.
Because the system isn't designed for us to have that. Because when we have that, we can freaking change the world.
Yes. Right? But don't tell anybody, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's that is a whole exploration and journey into that, and it's something that I'm completely working through. Like I share out loud, I learn out loud, and especially on this power aspect, it's something that's grabbed my heart, and I'm like, there's so much there, and I love it because I can talk about it on this big macro scale. And it can filter down into what we're going to do this afternoon. Exactly. What we're going to do in our daily lives and our purpose-driven businesses. Because it's that purpose. It's like, I was talking a lot about showing up wholeheartedly. And it's like, but what's next?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, actually, we show up wholeheartedly and then we can become more powerful and we can claim that. And when I say power to people, they think of like Donald Trump and dictators. And it's like, well, that's what we have been trained to think, so that we step away from it. Yes. But let's what does it feel like from the inside? More people like us had bigger voices and more influence and more control and more creative expression. And I'm doing Crossing Thresholds with Grey Love Shock at the moment, which of course is very powerful. And we were talking about the goddesses, not as opposed to just God, but the goddesses. You know, there's a level of separation between goddesses and in comparison. But what if
And she was suggesting that what if we don't have to identify with one goddess, and we know that all goddesses have a component of ourselves within us. And I just felt like, most of us in the group just felt like, poor. Yeah, that's a lot of power to imagine if we're not used to feeling it. So I'm sure there is the hand-holding that goes with embracing our power as well, and being gentle with it. And I'm loving it. And also this is Root to Rise. Tell me.
So Root and Rise is my group membership experience for big-hearted creatives. And so what I've designed is a framework that we can work through so that we can create these purposeful, profitable and powerful brands, but do it in a way that feels really good to us. So it isn't a one-size-fits-all. There aren't any formulas. There's not you need to do this and that. But what it is an exploration for you to find what works for you. And it's Root and Rise because I believe that we need to feel rooted. Like for me, rooted is the new grounded.
Yes, it's right? More than just on the top of it. Yes. We need to be right down in it.
We need to be getting the nutrients from the earth. We need to see how we're working with other elements, like how the trees and the roots of the trees, they intertwine and they feed off of each other. And so for me, the notion of feeling rooted, it came from lockdown. Like that's what I needed in the first lockdown when everything was all over the place. That's what I needed, this feeling of feeling rooted. And that is so fundamental. Like every time I go back and explore it, there's more stuff, there's more juicy analogies that I can use.
It's so exciting when we playing with words. It's so like, oh yeah, and that worked, and that works. But this is what nature does, isn't it? I mean, everything is in nature.
Yeah. And I love the fact that you're rooting into yourself and connecting with yourself, but you're also connecting with others. You're connecting to whatever your belief system is, so you know that you are guided, supported, and it's part of something bigger. Like for big-hearted creatives that have purpose-driven brands, it's about something bigger than us. But we don't have to do it alone.
Yes.
So that's kind of the interconnectivity of it. And it also came from Beyonce's got a song called Black Parade. And one of the lines she says is, I'm going back to the South where my roots aren't watered down.
Yes. That's so beautiful.
It's like too many of us have been in places and spaces where we have had to water down because we're too much, right? Because we're too much, or we're not enough, or we need to be something else, or we've read the room and we've been what the room. And the room is a metaphor, right? The room is a metaphor for family, for work, for going to the local supermarket, like wherever we are. We're used to being able to fit in. And we need to be in spaces and places where we don't have to water our roots down, because it's from that place that we can find our own way, and then my framework is we radiate and then we rise. But that from Beyonce, literally, like I'd heard the song so many times, and I was listening to it in the car, and I was like, that is it. Places and spaces where we don't have to water down our roots.
Honestly, that feels so powerful. And I've been in groups where where I don't have to water myself down, and two groups where I don't have to water myself down. And the power of being witnessed as your full self, the power of being witnessed as your full self, and then nobody runs away or tries to squash you. Oh my gosh, it's amazing. It's so amazing. And then you get to, and this is ridiculous, it's so funny to even sort of say it, but then you get to normalize oneself. Shouldn't that already be the way? But it's not. So when we are in those groups, we get to have ourselves reflected back at us as acceptable, good enough, even wondrous, and that starts to get into us as normal, as this is our normalness. That beauty is beautiful.
Oh, have I lost you?
I think we might be a little bit delayed. Yes. Yes. We might be a bit sticky with the internet, Nicola, here.
Yeah. Yes, basically. That's it. Are we still here?
Yeah.
We're still here, right?
I'm still here. Can you see me?
Yes, I am as well.
Okay, cool. I would love to hear what creativity means for you. How does it support you? I remember listening to some of your work, being at some of your workshops, and one thing that came to mind when I was thinking about how I could speak about you was to say, create before you consume. That's a thing that I remember every morning when I get up, is create before you consume, in terms of my morning routine. How do I function best within myself, having, like, instead of going straight onto the internet, I will create by journaling. And that is like my little thing. So that is something that I've taken away from you. But what is it for you? Creativity. I am a huge advocate for creativity for wellness. So how does creativity support you emotionally, mentally, your work, however it is that comes to mind for you right now?
What comes to mind for me is that when I believe that we're all creative, like we're creative humans, that the act of creativity is to make something. So we all do that. I'm not traditionally creative, so I cannot draw. I try to dance. I think I can dance, but I don't know about that. I can't sing. Like, I'm not traditionally creative, but I am really creative because I have the ability to make something out of nothing. And so for me, when you're not being creative and acknowledging that, it creates this energy, this like stuckness and this resistance. And so it's about, hey, Cassie.
You award winner, you.
I'm like,
just in case you forgot.
So with the creativity, it's around... The wellness element is around acknowledging it and leaning into it.
Beautiful.
Whatever that looks like. So it's allowing yourself to create something. So for me, the creativity could look like, and looks like a lot, picking up my journal and writing something.
Yes.
That for me is like...
Yes. Sorry if I cut you off. We are a bit delayed, so might be a bit sticky. You develop and have written a pack of affirmations as well, which are really, really beautiful. And for that, not just the... so don't misunderstand me, people. I don't mean that Nicola is creative because she created these cards. What I think the creative part of that is that being open to creating your life by using tools such as these cards, for example. And I really, really loved... No, tell me about the cards before I go on to what I love.
Yeah, so the cards started at the very beginning of my journey. So A Life More Inspired started as a product-based business. And I was creating these inspirational boxes, and affirmations were a big part of that. I've since lost the boxes, but I've kept the affirmation cards, and they were really one of my first entry points into this world, where I realised that I didn't have to have that negative voice in my head all the time, that I could do something to start to rewrite that narrative. So it's not to say that I'm walking around with positive thoughts all the time, but I'm able to have the awareness that there even was that voice, and that it wasn't very kind to me, and to have a tool to be able to do something about it. So I fell in love with affirmations, and I was like, right, I want to create them. And that's how it kind of
love it. And they're really good too. That's a bit of a slack. That's a slack compliment. They are really, really powerful and deep-heartedly thought through, and very, very not trite. They're not trite, you know. They're really meaningful and really easy to grab hold of and connect to. Going back to what you said about if we don't create, this is my paraphrase. If we don't create, then we're not living fully. I've been feeling into that the last couple of weeks, because the work that I have been doing has become so much even more beautiful than I ever used to be doing. And the commissions that I am taking are from people's heart, and they are really being imaginative and creative and permissive with themselves, which gives me a lot of joy. And then what I'm creating for them is exactly what they want, and they've gone wild with it, and we're on this lovely journey together in creating this. And when I feel this thrill, this is the flow, this is the creative spark that's in me. I can feel the numbness or the deadness when I'm not deadness, but you know, it's a lesser level of feeling alive, I think. And so is that something that you consciously become aware of? Right, I need to do something creative because I'm not feeling it all today. What gets in the way of you being creative? What helps you be creative?
So for me, I know if I get to a point in the day and I'm feeling really flat and really low, it's often a day where I haven't created anything. There is that there's something that is released when I create, and it's not necessarily always for public consumption.
Sure.
Right? Like
this is
I'm
important.
A content creator, so I love creating content. I love an audience in that sense. But it doesn't always have to be for public consumption. It's just the act of making words on a page, or if I was an artist, I see it as akin to being able to make something out of nothing on a blank canvas. But yes, that act of doing that, I feel it in my body, and I feel it when I don't do it. Yeah. So that's how I know. And one of the big parts of it is I say create before you consume, ideally. Yeah. But at least creating more than you consume. So I see is that there's this balance, like traditional weighing scales. Yes. Creativity on one side and consumption on the other. Yes. And when they are out of kilter and the consumption is higher than the creativity, that's when we're experiencing more comparison. That's when our energy levels feel even lower. That's when we're kind of doom scrolling. That's when we feel like nothing is right with the world, especially when you're a big-hearted creative. Mm-hmm. So it's adjusting that balance. I really advocate that people create something before they start hearing what everybody else thinks about the world. So first thing in the morning. So for me, I've got 2 little ones. I don't have much time in the morning. So it might just be me writing a couple of notes on my phone. Mm-hmm. Or if I've got to my journal, just writing something down is my act of I've created something before I've gone on to Instagram and heard what everyone thinks, or even before I know what my children think.
Yes.
I'm like, can I just get these thoughts in my head? Can I just listen to myself? So many of us, we're so quick to outsource our decisions, our thinking, our trust, our intuition in this roundabout way. Our intuition is for us, but we're so quick to outsource it to other people. Oh, what does so-and-so think about this? What are they doing? What are they saying I should do? How are they doing things? And so we're not listening to the power that is in here. And so creating more than you consume and creating before you consume is just that act of giving yourself a chance to listen. Because all the magic is here. We think it's out there. That's probably the biggest thing that I teach, ultimately, is all of the magic is in here. So it's just tuning into, we're our own secret sauce. We're our own secret sauce. But let's just give ourselves the time and space to hear it and a forum where we can be it so that we can be it.
Yeah, so good.
That's the creativity. And in this online world, right, like we know we're all probably spending more time online because we're at home more. We're consuming so much.
And it's being made easier and easier for us to consume as well.
Yeah.
So, it's
and
feeding
also these
into that.
companies, social media is designed on us consuming. Like they're trading our attention. So we have to be so super discerning about that. My phone usage is really, I was talking in Root and Rise yesterday, my phone usage is high. It's high. But what I am very conscious of is whilst it's high, what I'm more interested in is how much of that am I using to create? How much of that am I using to consume? I run my business practically from my phone. So
yes.
But that's where we can start to kind of take some of our power back. It's like, how much am I creating? How much am I consuming?
It's a very simple but powerful measurement question to ask yourself every day. It's really simple, but it answers so many questions. And I know that when I'm tired and I want to go on autopilot, I will become subservient to my phone. My phone becomes my boss. So, because as you said, you work from your phone, I can find myself when I'm tired and I haven't planned my day, I haven't given myself a list of things to do, I will look at my phone and I'll go, is there anything I need to respond to on Instagram, anything I need to respond to on Twitter, anything I need to respond to on emails? Is there anything I need to respond to on Instagram? Is there anything I need to... like there's like this magic triangle on Facebook, of course. It's like sitting there and it's like it's not helping me. No. It's getting me engaged in things that I can go, but promoting myself or talking in this is really helpful, but it's not planned out, it's not thought. And I have been able to catch it. That means that I'm tired or I'm not inspired. And I've done a lot of Ho'oponopono training, and this is a Hawaiian forgiveness technique, but basically it's bringing us into the present so that we're not living in the past and the stories of the past. And so when you're at zero, as they call it, with nothing, that is where there's room for the creativity to come up and inspiration. And then you're not led by a phone and you're not led by what other people are doing. You're not led by other people's ideas and your past stories combined to make up a new idea that might not necessarily be there. When you're getting rid of all of the noise, you can hear yourself. And that, like you said, it's all in there. Everything that we need is totally within ourselves. Right, my love, please tell me where we can find you, things that you'd like to share with us at the moment, and then I'll let you go because I've kept you a bit longer than we expected. Or I might have to let you go because we might be frozen. Let's see. Okay, Nicola's going to come back. Stay with us 1 moment. Nicola Ray Wickham was with us. She's just popped out to get some, hopefully, get some better internet. And we can continue our lovely conversation. Here we go. Nicola's come back in and... just waiting for her to connect. Oh, my gosh, it's been so good. If you've just joined us, please make sure that you check this out on Instagram, on my Instagram channel. I'll make sure that this IGTV is there. Welcome back, lovely.
Hi, sorry about that. I don't know what happened, but I've changed my 4G.
What happens is that the talk gets too powerful and the internet can't handle it. That's what happens, okay? We're just accepting that this is the reality of the situation and we're going to carry on anyway. All right, my lovely, let's... I want to hear what you'd like to share with anybody, where we can find you, what you're excited about at the moment, the floor is yours.
Oh, okay. So where you can find me is over at A Life More Inspired. That's where I play on Instagram, and also my podcast, which is called Dream and Do. And I've just released an episode, actually, that is with Selena Barker, and it's all about burnout.
Oh, goody, because she's got a book coming out.
She has.
Oh,
Yeah.
yay!
When we recorded, I had this on-air realisation that I'm addicted to my phone.
Yes.
And it was really vulnerable and really
yes.
Oh, right. What do we do about this then?
Yeah. And this is live, and it's all on your face. It's all on your voice.
Exactly. So I released that last night. So that's available
fantastic.
now.
Good.
But what I'm really excited by at the moment is this. I feel like there's this new level of growth. There's this new level of, as much as I teach people to find, use and amplify their voice, I'm also walking that path.
Yes.
And 2020 has been a year that I have amplified my voice in a way that I did not think was possible for this girl that was traditionally so shy, that the most she used to say at school was yes miss to the register, right? Like the way that I've amplified my voice this year and spoken my truth this year, it surprises me. And I know there's more to go. And I'm in this space of like loosening it up, like I give zero right now. Like I'm here to truth tell my truth that has been silenced for so long. And I know that it also is touching on so many other people's experience. So, really channeling that into my work personally, but also how much further I'm able to go with my clients, because you can only go as far as you've been, right?
As you've been, right.
So it feels like the ceiling has been lifted off what telling and soul-fueling and using our voices to create powerful change can look like has been just blown off in 2020.
Yeah.
And I'm excited for more voices that have gone unheard to be heard.
I don't think that these lives would be happening without you, Nicola. I don't know if you know that, but you have been a big part of making these lives happen. You, Nova Reid, Tamu Thomas, have been a huge, Jade Sullivan, have been a huge, have had a huge impact on me and opening my mind and hearing and seeing what this world is like. And so I thank you for your amplified voice and for doing that, and for your incredible courage and vulnerability to be able to do that. And let me be specific, okay? I have become and woken up from the dream that is white privilege. I am waking up. I'm not done. I am waking up. I am seeing what this is about. I am consciously getting my learning up there as much as I can and doing what I can. And that is great. Whatever I do for everybody else is wonderful. But the gift that you've given to me is that I always had a little voice from a little child inside of me said, why don't they get that? This isn't fair. That shouldn't happen. And then I learnt not to think that way and not to ask those questions. And now you've given me that connection back with that self again. That is, because it was too painful to feel those feelings as well, right? Because this is just, I can't look at that pain, and then because then I become numb. So the work that you are all doing in that way, thank you for me, because my life has become much more richer, yes, more painful and more joyful. And because you can't squish one without the other, okay? And so thanks. Thank you.
Shannon, you know what as well, like what I'm hearing from you is that you're able to embrace that wholeness. And that's what it is, isn't it? Like so many of us have heard those little voices on so many different levels, on so many different things. It might be what we think about our industry, right through to things that are happening in the world. And we've learned to disconnect from that voice. But when we start to connect to it and listen to it, we can embrace wholeness. But I want to thank you as well, because when you're doing the work and other white people are doing the work, it is so healing, right? And I have been in spaces with you, like namely Tamu's group, where I have been able to be me and not edit and not filter, which the Nicola of a few years ago would have done.
Yeah,
and I've been able to do that because of the work I've been doing on myself, but also being in spaces with women like you who are open and willing to hold that. That is honestly has been such a massive part of my journey. Being in spaces who will not try to fix, who will not try and justify, or will just hold it.
And it's, it's. I'm really, really lucky because I've had 4 years of being a part of a women's red tent group and helping and facilitating those groups as well, which the main ethos is don't fix. And it's really hard, and you see new people come into the group and they're like, oh, I knew I that happened to me too. And we are trained, I think, as women or people who identify as women or people just who have different roles in their life to be the fixer, to have the answers. And then that's why I think a part of you is, correct me if I'm wrong, but separating the word empathy from deep feeling is because there's a sense of responsibility with empathy rather than being big-hearted deep feelers. And so not fixing and holding space is a skill to learn when we've been told that that's what we need to do, and we need to show, and we need to do grand gestures, and we need to this and that. But what does that all cover up? When we can sit back, and I'm still practicing this, please, it's ongoing. But when we can sit back and we can just go, this is your experience. This is your experience. I'm so sorry. I send you love.
Exactly. And I know the weight of that when guilt gets involved as well. And it's so easy to then personalise and centre, which is unhelpful. But I get the human reaction, right? Yes. So I get the gravity of what it is, especially early on in a journey of learning about racism and systemic oppression and things like that. And it is. It's so healing. You've been in that space and you've held that, and that has been so transformative.
No, I'm really, really pleased that my amateurish effect.
But that's the thing. We're all like, we're allowed to learn out loud.
That's the point, isn't it? Is like, don't stop yourself doing it because you're amateur. Be okay to learn. Be okay to learn. I know that there's a lot in my family. A lot of answers come out of my family around I know. If you just did that, no, I know. But if you just, I know, and I know that's because I'm so controlling that they always just have to say I know to shut me up. But so it's not like empty. But that place of I know is so limiting. It's so dangerous. It's so keeps us closed in our own shell. So it's so unconnecting, disconnecting, isolating. It's wonderful things for us to explore and be gentle with. And thank you for your vulnerability, because it is, this is your trauma, and it's not for anybody else to come to you and try to understand how to do things better and all the rest of it, while re-triggering yourself and others in that way. So holding space the best we can. Yeah, give it a go, people, without trying to fix it. It's really quite nice.
Absolutely.
Oh, my love, thank you for that time. Those people who went when we said, where do we find you, are going to have to catch up on the really juicy bits now, aren't they?
Yes, they will.
Oh, thank you so much. Nicola, I think you are showing us how to live a life more inspired. I think it's really, really beautiful. Thank you for all of your imperfections and all of your just passion, purpose-driven work that you're putting out there into the world and supporting wonderful people who, when they're supported, have got all of their stuff to give. It's just a multiplying factor.
Yeah,
it's really, really beautiful.
And I'm really glad you used the word imperfect in there as well, because that's my whole thing, imperfection for the win. So I think it's easy to sit down at home and be watching people like us still having these conversations, these powerful conversations, and think that, oh, I can't do that, or there's someone else over there. But it's not that at all. And embracing imperfection for the win opens you up to true creative freedom.
Oh my gosh, it so does. You know, the things that I wouldn't have been able to come up with or do if I had been trying to get it perfect, or if I hadn't played or experimented or took time. And as I go on, I'm more willing to get it wrong and having to, like, literally get it wrong and then having to undo it, like if it's crochet or something, you know, like even though that's not time efficient. Hey, Emily, we're just signing off, love, but we keep saying that and then lovely things come out of our mouths.
It's because I think you're here at my dining room table with me, and I'm like, don't go.
I know. But I was just saying, you know, that imperfection and being willing to try something, even if it does take more time to come back and undo it, which I've been very, and you know why I've been very fussy about that is because I charge so little for my stuff that I really have to be really efficient with my time. I'm changing that now so that I am feeling really spacious in the way that I do.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of it. And so imperfection and experimenting is imperfection for the win, was what you said, wasn't it?
Yes.
Love it. Love it. Thank you, Nicola.
Hey love, and thank you for listening to this episode. If you enjoyed it, you know what I'm going to ask you to do. Please head over to Apple Podcasts, leave a 5-star review and a rating. It helps this important conversation and message get to more people. And also please feel free to share it with anyone who you think needs to hear it. I would love to continue the conversation over on Instagram. I'm there at A Life More Inspired. And I will see you on the next episode.